Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about something that separates the average from the extraordinary, the weak from the powerful, the dreamers from the doers. That something is consistency. See, talent is good, motivation is great, inspiration is powerful, but none of them mean anything without consistency. Motivation fades, inspiration comes and goes, but consistency is what turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces of nature. Think about it. Every champion you admire, every successful entrepreneur, every athlete who dominates their field, every leader who commands respect, they all became what they are because they refused to stop. They showed up on the days they didn't feel like it. They pushed through the moments when nobody was watching. They trained, they worked, they repeated over and over again. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not always exciting. It's waking up earlier than everyone else. It's doing the reps when your muscles burn. It's studying when your mind wants to rest. It's grinding in silence while the world is sleeping. That's the price and the reward, transformation. Because when you stay consistent, you don't just build habits. You build character. You don't just gain progress. You build power, and over time, consistency turns you into a beast. Not a beast in the sense of just physical strength, but in mindset, in focus, in resilience. You become someone unstoppable, someone unshakable, someone who doesn't just chase goals but crushes them. The truth is, greatness is not built in a single day, it's built day after day, brick after brick, action after action. The small things you do daily compound into massive results, and one day, people will look at you and wonder how you became so strong, so disciplined, so successful. And the answer will be simple: consistency. So I ask you today, do you want to stay average, or do you want to transform into a beast? Do you want to live at the mercy of motivation, or do you want to master yourself with discipline? Because the choice is in your hands. Stay consistent, stay committed, keep grinding even when it hurts, even when it's boring, even when nobody believes in you. Because in the end, it's not the strongest who win, it's not the smartest who win, it's the most consistent who rise. And if you master consistency, nothing, and I mean nothing, can stop you. Motivation fades, consistency lasts. Motivation is like a spark, it burns bright, but it doesn't last forever. When you watch a motivational video, hear an inspiring story, or set a new goal, you feel unstoppable for a while. That surge of energy pushes you forward, but then life happens. You get tired, you get busy, you face setbacks. Suddenly, that spark of motivation begins to fade, and if motivation is all you rely on, you stop. You quit. This is why consistency is so much more powerful than motivation. Motivation is temporary, but consistency is permanent. Consistency doesn't ask you how you feel, it demands action regardless of your emotions. Motivation whispers, do it when you're inspired. Consistency commands, do it whether you're inspired or not. And that's why the people who succeed in life are not always the most talented or the most motivated. They are the most consistent. Think about it this way: anyone can go to the gym once, anyone can write a page of a book once, anyone can study hard for one day. That doesn't make a difference. What matters is what you do every single day. Going to the gym 5 times a week, every week for years, that transforms your body. Writing a page every single day, that finishes a book. Studying consistently every day, that creates mastery. The small actions, repeated over and over, are what create greatness. The danger of relying on motivation is that it's unreliable. It comes and goes based on your mood, your environment, and your circumstances. If it rains, you don't feel motivated to run. If you're tired, you don't feel motivated to work. If nobody is watching, you don't feel motivated to push yourself. And this is where most people fail. They stop when motivation stops. They wait for the right mood, the perfect moment, the feeling of inspiration. And while they wait, time passes, opportunities disappear, and dreams die. Consistency, on the other hand, doesn't depend on your feelings. It builds discipline. It teaches you to show up no matter what. When you're consistent, you train your mind to work even when it doesn't want to. You go to the gym even when it's raining. You study even when you're tired. You keep pushing even when nobody is cheering for you. That's when you build resilience. That's when you become unstoppable. Look at the champions of any field: athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders. Do you think they woke up motivated every single day? Of course not. But they woke up consistent. They trained, they practiced, they worked, even on the days when they didn't feel like it. And because of that, they separated themselves from everyone else. Consistency is not about doing something once in a while. It's about building habits that stick. When you repeat something often enough, it becomes automatic. It becomes part of who you are. At that point, success is not about forcing yourself. It's simply about being yourself, because you've trained yourself to be consistent. So the question is, are you going to keep waiting for motivation, or are you going to build consistency? Because if you only act when you feel motivated, you'll never get far. But if you act with consistency, you'll always make progress, even if it's small, even if it's slow. And small progress, over time, always leads to massive results. Remember this: motivation will get you started, but consistency will keep you going. Motivation opens the door, but consistency builds the house. Motivation gives you dreams, but consistency makes them reality. That's why consistency is the true game changer. It's the difference between being average and being great. It's the difference between wishing and achieving. And ultimately, it's the difference between staying ordinary and transforming into a beast. Champions are built in silence in today's world. It's easy to believe that success happens overnight. Social media shows us the highlights of other people's lives: trophies, medals, luxury, and fame. But what we don't see is the years of hard work behind the scenes. We don't see the late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, the failures, and the endless grind. That's why people often say, wow, they got lucky. But luck has very little to do with it. True champions are not made on the stage. They are made in the silence, in the dark, when nobody is clapping and nobody is watching. Think of an athlete preparing for the Olympics. The world only sees them for a few minutes of competition, but behind that moment are thousands of hours of silent training. While others are sleeping, they're running. While others are partying, they're practicing. While others are resting, they're sweating in silence. That's what it takes. The glory of victory is just a reflection of years of hidden consistency. The same applies to every area of life. Entrepreneurs who build massive companies weren't just lucky with one idea. They worked in silence, planning, failing, improving, and repeating until they found what worked. Authors who publish best-selling books weren't just gifted with talent. They spent lonely hours writing page after page, editing word after word, while the world moved on around them. Musicians who fill stadiums weren't just born with fame. They practiced their craft day and night, often in empty rooms, long before anyone cared to listen. The truth is simple: the work you do in silence is what prepares you for the spotlight. Everyone loves the result, but very few are willing to endure the process. The process is boring. The process is painful. The process is repetitive. But it is the process that creates champions. There's power in silence. When you work in silence, you're not distracted by applause or criticism. You're not looking for validation. You're focused on growth. Silence strips away the noise and forces you to face yourself, your weaknesses, your strengths, your limits. And it is in facing yourself again and again that you grow into something stronger. Think of a seed planted in the soil. Nobody sees it working, but beneath the ground, in complete darkness, it is growing roots. It is preparing itself, and one day it breaks through the surface, and everyone sees the beautiful plant. But without that silent growth underground, it would have never survived. That's what champions are like. They grow strong in silence before the world ever sees them. When you commit to working in silence, you also build mental toughness. You learn to push yourself without needing someone else to push you. You learn to keep going when there is no applause. You learn to trust the process even when progress is invisible. That's when you become dangerous, because now your strength comes from within, not from external validation. The world often underestimates those who work in silence, but that's the beauty of it. While others talk about what they're going to do, you're actually doing it. While others post about their goals, you're achieving them. And when the time comes, your results will speak so loudly that no words will be necessary. So remember this: champions are not built in comfort. They are built in silence. They are built when nobody is watching, when nobody is cheering, when nobody believes. The silence tests you, the silence shapes you, the silence prepares you, and when the spotlight finally hits, the world won't just see your success. They'll see the beast you became in the silence. Small daily actions create big results. We live in a world that glorifies big moments: the championship win, the $1 million business launch, the graduation stage, the transformation photo. But here's the truth: none of those big results happen overnight. They are the outcome of small, daily actions that seem insignificant in the moment, but when compounded over time, create massive transformation. Think of a single drop of water. On its own, it looks powerless. But if that drop keeps falling day after day, it can carve through stone. That's the power of consistency in small actions. It compounds into results you never thought possible. Too often, people fail because they underestimate the small things. They think missing one workout doesn't matter. They think skipping one day of studying won't make a difference. They think procrastinating one task isn't a big deal. And while it may not seem like much in the moment, those missed actions add up. Neglecting small efforts daily creates massive failures over time. On the other hand, committing to small daily actions builds unstoppable momentum that leads to greatness. Let's take fitness as an example. Imagine doing 20 push-ups every day. On day 1, it feels like nothing. On day 30, you've done 6. 100 push-ups on day 1. 100, you've done 2, 0, 0, 0. On day 3, 165, you've done 7, 3. 100 push-ups. That's how transformation happens, not through one extreme workout, but through the steady accumulation of small, consistent effort. The same applies to learning. If you read just 10 pages of a book every day, that's 650 pages a year, about 12 to 15 books. Over 5 years, that's 60 to 75 books. Do you realize how much knowledge and wisdom you would gain? And yet, people say they don't have time to read because they underestimate the power of small actions. Small actions are powerful because they build habits. And habits, once formed, run on autopilot. You no longer have to think about brushing your teeth. It's automatic. Imagine if studying, exercising, saving money, or practicing your craft became automatic. Imagine the results you'd build over years. Here's another truth: small actions create confidence. Every time you follow through on a small commitment, you strengthen your belief in yourself. You prove to yourself that you can be trusted to show up. That self-trust compounds into self-discipline, and that discipline creates massive achievements. But here's the catch: small actions only work if they're consistent. Doing something once doesn't matter. Doing it daily transforms you. It's like planting seeds. If you water them one day and forget about them for weeks, they die. But if you water them every day, little by little, eventually, they grow into something beautiful. Greatness is not about intensity. It's about consistency. Anyone can push hard for one day, but champions push every day, even when it's boring, even when it's tough, even when results aren't visible yet. The magic lies in persistence, and one day people will look at you and say, "Wow, you've changed. How did you do it?" And you'll know the truth. It wasn't one big action, it wasn't luck, it wasn't overnight success. It was the small daily actions that nobody noticed, but you stayed committed to. So here's the challenge: start small, but stay consistent. Do the push-ups, read the pages, save the dollar, make the call. Write the paragraph. Whatever your goal is, break it down into small actions and do them daily. Because over time, those small steps will turn into giant leaps. Remember this: success is not built in one day. It is built day by day. Small actions, repeated consistently, create results that are anything but small. And that's how ordinary people achieve extraordinary things, through the relentless power of small daily actions. Consistency builds character, not just progress. Most people think consistency is just about results, about getting fit, building wealth, finishing a project, or reaching a milestone. And yes, consistency does produce results. But its true power goes far beyond external achievements. Consistency doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. It builds your character, reshaping you into someone stronger, more disciplined, and unstoppable. Let's break it down. Every time you make a promise to yourself and follow through, you're building integrity. You're proving to yourself that your word has value. That kind of self-trust is priceless. On the other hand, when you say you'll do something and don't, you weaken that trust. The cycle of breaking promises to yourself damages your confidence. But when you stay consistent, you strengthen your identity as someone who does what they say they'll do. Over time, that becomes part of your character. Consistency also builds discipline. Discipline is not about doing something when it's easy or fun, it's about doing it when it's hard, when you're tired, when you don't feel like it. Every time you push yourself to take action despite discomfort, you're teaching yourself that your emotions don't control you. You control them. And the more you practice that, the tougher and more disciplined you become. Think of the great athletes, soldiers, leaders, or entrepreneurs. Their success is not just in their skills, it's in their discipline, forged through consistent effort. They didn't just gain progress, they built unshakable character. That's why even if you take away their money, trophies, or titles, they'll still rise again. Because consistency gave them something more valuable than success. It gave them resilience, grit, and identity. Consistency also builds patience. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, most people quit when results don't show up fast enough. But when you commit to consistency, you learn the value of delayed gratification. You learn to trust the process even when results are invisible. That patience becomes part of your mindset, and it spills over into every area of life. Your career, your relationships, your goals. Here's the thing, progress can be lost, but character stays with you. You might lose a job, face setbacks, or hit rock bottom, but the person you became through consistency will never leave you. That version of you is stronger, sharper, and more resilient than before. You may fall, but because of the character you've built, you'll always rise. Consistency is also what separates amateurs from professionals. An amateur practices when it's convenient, a professional practices until it becomes second nature. That shift from "I'll do it when I can" to "I do it because it's who I am" is the birth of greatness. At that point, consistency is no longer a task, it's an identity. And here's the ultimate truth. When you're consistent, you no longer chase success. Success chases you. Why? Because your character attracts opportunities. People trust the consistent person. Teams follow the consistent leader. Doors open for the consistent worker. Consistency builds a reputation, and that reputation turns into influence. So yes, consistency will give you progress. It will move you toward your goals, but more importantly, it will transform you. It will make you someone who is reliable, disciplined, and unshakable. Someone who can face challenges without fear. Someone who doesn't just achieve success, but embodies it. Remember, results are temporary, but character is permanent. Muscles fade, money can be lost, and achievements can be forgotten. But the strength, discipline, and resilience you gain through consistency will stay with you forever. So the next time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, remind yourself you're not just making progress, you're building character, and character is the foundation of becoming a true beast. Consistency transforms you into a beast at some point in life. Every person faces a choice: stay comfortable and remain average, or embrace discipline and rise into greatness. That transformation doesn't happen in a single moment, and it doesn't come from a single act of willpower. It comes from something far more powerful: consistency. Consistency is the force that takes ordinary people and forges them into beasts. Not beasts in the sense of just physical power, but beasts in mentality, in resilience, in unstoppable drive. When you decide to stay consistent day after day, even when it's hard, even when no one is clapping, you are slowly but surely becoming a different kind of human being. You are building someone who cannot be shaken, someone who cannot be broken, someone who is feared not because of their strength alone, but because of their unrelenting persistence. A beast is not the strongest person in the room by birth. A beast is the person who refuses to quit when others give up. A beast is the one who keeps going when it's painful, who pushes through exhaustion, who stays disciplined when distractions scream for attention. And consistency is what gives birth to that beast. Think of the difference between a lion in the wild and a pet cat at home. They share the same family, but one rules the jungle while the other sleeps on a couch. Why? Because the lion's life demands consistency, consistent hunting, consistent survival, consistent dominance. That consistency builds a predator, a king of the jungle, a beast. The same applies to humans. If you choose consistency in your pursuit, you build the instincts, the habits, and the discipline of a beast. Every rep you do in the gym, every page you write, every dollar you save, every skill you practice, it all stacks. Alone, each act might feel small, but together they forge a version of you that is relentless. And one day, without even realizing it, you wake up and you're no longer the same person. You're sharper, stronger, more disciplined. That's the beast inside you, unleashed through consistency. The beauty of becoming a beast is not just in the victories. It's in the transformation. At first, you may have to force yourself to show up. You'll fight laziness, excuses, and distractions. But as consistency becomes your lifestyle, the struggle fades, the habits lock in, discipline becomes natural. At that point, you don't just do the work, you embody the work. Consistency becomes your identity, and that's when you're truly dangerous. When you transform into a beast, you don't rely on motivation, because beasts don't wait for feelings, they act. You don't beg for opportunities, because beasts create them. You don't crumble under pressure, because beasts thrive in adversity. And you don't stop when you're tired. You stop when the mission is done. That's what consistency molds you into, a creature of resilience, strength, and dominance. And here's the truth. The world respects a beast. People might doubt you at first. They might laugh when you start small, when your progress is invisible. But consistency silences critics. Eventually, your results will roar louder than their doubts. When you're consistent long enough, even your enemies will have to respect the beast you've become. So ask yourself today, are you going to let inconsistency keep you weak, or are you going to let consistency transform you into a beast? The choice is yours. But understand this: every day you stay consistent. You're sharpening your claws, strengthening your bite, and fueling the fire inside you. And once that beast is fully unleashed, nothing, and I mean nothing, will be able to stop you. Consistency is the bridge between who you are today and who you want to become tomorrow. It's not talent, not luck, not even motivation that creates champions. It's the daily decision to show up, to push forward, and to keep going even when no one is watching. This speech has shown you that motivation fades, but consistency lasts. That champions are built in silence, that small daily actions create massive results, that consistency shapes your character, and ultimately, that it transforms you into a beast. And here's the truth: you already have the potential inside you. What will determine your future is not one big effort, but the thousands of small choices you make every day. Every workout, every study session, every disciplined act is a brick you lay in the foundation of greatness. So I challenge you, stop waiting for the perfect moment, stop relying on temporary motivation, and start committing to consistency. Because the person who refuses to quit, the one who shows up day after day, the one who stays disciplined no matter what, that person becomes unstoppable. Be consistent, be relentless, and watch yourself transform into the beast you were always meant to be. Thank you.